Hello, BookTube. I have a tag for you today. It's the Ruler of Books tag. I was tagged by Creative Liberties, who apparently did not troll through the 250 videos in my back catalog to realize that I've already done the Ruler of Books tag. But that's perfectly all right, since I'm a capricious ruler whose edicts often change. So I'm happy to do it again in the Ruler of Books tag part Deux. So let's just get right started. Question number one. What book would you make everyone read? And the book I want to choose for this is The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, who it's a book that a lot of you may have encountered in excerpts in school, but reader to reader here, I can tell you, you need to encounter this book again in all of its amazing, joyful glory. And it doesn't really matter how you do it. It doesn't matter if you do a modernized English translation or if you take what is actually not a very large amount of effort to encounter Chaucer on his own playing field. You don't need more than a week, really, to get him, and not to need a modernized English translation. And there's a lot that you'll get that a modernized English translation has to remove. So it's better to do it that way. But I really can't sing the poem's praises high enough as a portrait of all of us. So that would be my edict, the Canterbury Tales. Question number two. What book would you abolish, or what would you abolish in book construction? Creative Liberties, her answer to this question was horrifying to me. She went after deckled edges in books. I love deckled edges in books. It's been known to make the difference between which two copies of a book I will get. But I have one in mind this time. It's kind of sort of falls under the umbrella of the construction of books, and that is for print books, the size of the print run that current books are given, especially in the U.S. It's slightly better in the U.K. because there's an institutional and social memory of rationing during wartime. America, of course, is an utterly profligate country, so there isn't any kind of memory of such things. And as a result, that and also the thing we've mentioned on this channel before, the horrendous decision that was made 30 years ago to run publishing like a business, has led to runaway initial print sizes that do nobody any good. They do the industry a lot of harm. For a modern, a new release hardcover novel that has any kind of buzz attached to it when it's going through the pre-publication process, 150,000 copies of a print run is not uncommon. And that's insane. There aren't 150 genuine, serious readers who will pay $35 for a new hardcover in the entire world, let alone lined up in bookstores on the Tuesday that the book appears. That's crazy. There will never be a demand to match that supply. Publishers are only doing it because the entire system is freighted for bulk sales and bulk advances and then bulk returns and bulk pulping. It's unimaginably wasteful and also misleading. So I would say for almost every new book, a very modest print run. And if there's a demand, well, then you know to reprint it, but not until then. You don't anticipate that 150,000 people are going to want to read the new Alice Munro, for God's sake. Let's see here. Question number three. What author would you commission to write any book? Now, if I am a Lord of the Rings style ruler of books, with power not only temporal but also supernatural, then I would commission a dead author to write a book. I would commission Christopher Hitchens to write a book on Donald Trump. But I don't think my power extends to the netherworld. So if we stick with living authors, I have a candidate in mind, and it's actually a colleague of mine at Open Letters Monthly, the online literary journal where I am managing editor. Our senior editor there is Professor Rohan Maitzen, and most of you, I'm sure, have never gone over to Open Letters. If I remember, I'll put a link down below. But if you do, and you wander around there on her, file of writing, you will see that she has a specialty. It's no secret It's George Eliot. It's the Victorian writer George Eliot. And what I have wanted for years is Rohan Maitzen's book on George Eliot. That if I had the ruler of books power to commission something and make it happen, that's what it would be. It would be called On Eliot, and it would be just an amazing thing. It would get reviewed everywhere. Everyone would buy it to read it because they've always liked Eliot but found her work intimidating. And most importantly, it would be taught in schools everywhere. So that's what I would commission if Christopher Hitchens is busy. Question number 4. What book would you demote to the library basement? I assume here the question means demote it to the library basement as a kind of sign of disapproval, of censorship. And of course, that's anathema to reading, so I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't demote any book to the library basement. But I can tell you one thing. I would move all the coloring books to the children's section with real low tables and little wooden chairs. And if it means that much to you that you're willing to sit there and make an absolute ass of yourself when you have George Eliot and Geoffrey Chaucer to read, well, go to. Fad I cannot wait to see end. I hate them always. Every year I hate the fad, but this one... Okay, all right. Question number 5. What cover artist would you commission for a mural? And in this case, since I'm the ruler of books, I get to change the question. I wouldn't want a mural in this case. I would want the great comic book artist, Stuart Immonen. Some of you will know his work. I wish there were a way for me to put pictures down in the information below, because I could show you an example of him, but I can leave his name so that you can Google him. He's incredible. And what I would want him to do would be a nice, leisurely, big, beautiful graphic novel of The Lord of the Rings, which has never had a good adaptation to comic form. The one major one that I remember was horrifically bad, and he wouldn't do that. So that's what I would like. Question number 6. What character's face would you put on a coin? Sticking with Lord of the Rings here, I would put John Rhys Davies' Gimli. I'd put his face on a coin, because that's a coin that you wouldn't mess around with. You certainly wouldn't counterfeit it if Gimli was right there, with maybe an axe on the opposite side. And question number 7. What book would you deem ruler of books for 2016? Now, the last time I did this in 2016, it was Jenny Diskey. It was Ingratitude by Jenny Diskey, and that is still a very strong front runner. But unlike then, now I'm in the midst of the fall book season, which is the strongest part of the book season, when lots and lots of truly wonderful titles are coming out, and they're in my mind, they're on my reading shelves, or in my reading journal and whatnot. So there isn't really as clear a winner. One thing that I would want to mention would be Nathan Hill's debut novel, The Knicks, which I noticed very happily has just been bought for a TV adaptation with starring a really good cast. It could be intelligently done, and it's a really good choice. It's a great novel on its own, though. I'm more impressed with it the more I think back on it. So there'd be that. Of course, Ingratitude would also be in the listing, but several works of history as well, and a couple of biographies. So this question looks forward rather than backwards. Mainly looks forward to my year-end cataclysmic roundup of best and worst books on my intergalactically famous book blog, Steve Reads. And that's it. That is the Ruler of Books tag part 2. And all that's left is for me to tag people, and I have a list of people I want to tag, and the one thing you'll notice among them is that they're all extreme newbies to BookTube. They all have, I think, less than 50 subscribers. And I really like what I've seen of them, and I figure, aside from a narcissistic old brontosaurus such as myself, who would be more likely to want to become an absolute dictator of all they see and hear than brand new people? Of course, they lust for power. So I'm tagging Bae Radley. I'm tagging Embracing My Books. I'm tagging Erinn's book club. She did her BookTube newbie tag. She's in the middle of her BookTube newbie tag when one of her roommates saunters into the room and says, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Looks kind of dumb. I think you should pay attention to me." I'm not going to pay attention back. I just think you should pay attention to me. What are you doing? And as that description will no doubt tell you, that roommate was a cat. Why people keep these creatures as pets, I have no idea. But it was funny to watch. I also tag the Jenternet and Molly de Montaigne. And I'll leave links to all these people down below. And there you have it. My latest edicts. See to it. Thank you, BookTube.